healthcare, which is about a 6,000 employee organization, and we have established both clinical and non-clinical apprenticeships. And the clinical ones are phlebotomy as well as LNA, licensed nurse's assistant. And both those apprenticeships work in partnership with the licensing agencies. So, for instance, our phlebotomists actually go through an intense education program and then actually take the licensing exam and pass it, and then are actually mentored on the floor. So when you're working with an employer, they'll allow you to come around, I don't say around, but work with the licensing agencies to actually give those mentorships. And that was for phlebotomy. And with the LNAs, actually we worked to marry our program with the licensing nurse's assistant education program by Fletcher Allen, and then provide an apprenticeship there.
Okay, thank you. We have the other two questions over here. Go ahead. I think this gentleman was first, Chad. Yeah.
There's been quite a bit of talk about partnering with secondary education. My question revolves around public schools. Have any of you had any luck partnering with high schools, with students that may be interested in gaining an apprenticeship? I know in my area, the end of the school year, the schools are very beating themselves on the chest to put their list of kids that are going to go to college and what percentage of college people they're going to have, graduating seniors are going to go to college. There's a segment of talented kids that aren't going to go to college. And from my experience in upstate New York, most of those kids fall through the cracks. Most of the high school educators don't have a clue about apprenticeships, okay? The guidance counselors don't know about them. My daughter is a guidance counselor. She's been made to drink the Kool-Aid. She knows. But by and large, the rest of them have no clue about registered apprenticeships, what we offer. And I guess my question is anybody succeeded in partnering with high schools, public education, to make the apprenticeship program noticeable, to let it be known that it's out there?
The Career and Technical Academy I was referring to, it's a public education. It's a 9 through 12 high school Career and Technical Education Center. It's a difficult partnership. You know, I'm not going to deny that. The question of crosswalking curriculum and curriculum input from the industry, for instance, when a core curriculum has been developed over years and people have their own fiefdoms around curriculum, very difficult. An advisory structure, though, for the actual CTE instructor, now that's critical, right? Because you can reverse engineer the elements of the industry and the alignment of the standards with the actual instructor. So we've actually focused on creating a board around each of the career tracks, as well as doing professional development, so we can do cross-planning between academic and technical instructors. I'm not going to tell you that it's easy, though. The curriculum piece, we really got a lot of pushback. We've had a lot more luck with professional development and the advisory structure we've set up around it. But quite honestly, I don't really think there is often a seamless transition from high school to apprenticeship. Because kids need to get knocked around in the world a bit before they recognize the opportunity that's in front of them, but that's just my own.
If I'm not mistaken, I think, and maybe one of the OA folks can correct me, average age of a new apprentice is 27 now, is that correct? Am I correct? Yes, I'm seeing heads nod. Okay, you have a response to that question, sir?
Yeah, John Healy spoke about the articulation agreements, and we have 3 articulation agreements in Massachusetts that are with the Mass Association of Vocational Administrators. There's 53 vocational schools. So the sheet metal workers and the carpenters give 1-year credit in their program after they've completed their probationary period. The laborers have a 6-month credit into their 2-year program after they've completed their probationary period. So there is an articulated credit. We can give you copies of that.
Bruce, you wanted to comment on that before we go to this next question?
Yeah, just to sort of, in general, I think in New York State, we recognize, because we've had an ongoing conversation with career counselors in the formal, in the high school system in particular, and we recognize that in general, there is not a complete, robust understanding of the labor market and employment opportunities and career paths overall. So we launched an educator academy over the last 2 years, where we brought guidance counselors in, and this is to expose them to a lot of the labor market information tools available at the Department of Labor. So it's not exclusively focused on apprenticeship, but that is part of what we're trying to, the content that we're trying to provide to the counselors, so they recognize not only is that pathway available to their students, but the outcomes really can be very positive in terms of employment and income, et cetera. But in general, I think that the challenge, and you pointed it out very well, that we still have this segmentation of the student body going on in our education system. And one group, they're over here, and that's the college track group of kids, and they get, frankly, a lion's share of the resources and the focus, because that's how the system is evaluated. And those that aren't are sort of somewhat, very much, I would say, second class, if you will, students that are sort of tracked towards the trades and other sort of vocational. And I think that is an ongoing challenge in this system, and doesn't lead to good outcomes for the student body, and is not necessarily the most efficient way to structure our education approach. Bigger set of challenges.
Thank you. We're going to take a few more questions. This woman from Massachusetts has been patiently waiting here for the last 10 or 15 minutes, so it's your turn.
Thank you. This question is for you, Phoebe, and the rest of the panel, if you would like to answer after Phoebe. And thank you for your testimony, Phoebe. It was very, very encouraging. And what I was hearing was your enthusiasm, your excitement about where you are right now, and how you started and where you came from. And it sounded as though your employment has been consistent. And I am the program coordinator for our Boston Carpentry program with the Urban League. But I want to speak to you as an apprentice. I'm an apprentice. I'm just coming out of the gate right now. Just graduating, just came through the training. We are in partnership with certain companies. But right now the economy is saying it's not happening for me. I'm not going to be as fortunate as you. I'm sitting here and I'm saying, yeah, good for you, Phoebe, but I haven't worked yet. I can't find any work. The economy's not commanding it. Companies aren't hiring. I'm hearing right now at this stage it is who you know, and I really don't know anyone. I need a mentor. I need a company that I could go in and grow like you, get my bills paid. And we know that construction is seasonal as well. It's up and down, and it's in and out. So I would like you to encourage me as a new apprentice coming out of the gate and facing these obstacles.
Yeah, admittedly, when I got in, the economy was significantly better than it is now. I actually saw a group of your apprentices from the Urban League tour the Millbury Center, I think a couple of weeks ago. I was there, of course, the only woman at the center, as always. Basically, I don't think it's that bad. You know what I mean? There's a lot of guys on the bench in my local. There's a lot of guys on the bench across the board. But apprentices are cheap. Apprentices are cheap, and first-year apprentices is what they have going for them. If you ask my business agent, who's the one who sends us out to work, pretty much the only people he can even send out right now are first-year apprentices. And yes, they're going to be insulating walls, but they're going to be working, and they're going to be making $17.70 or something to do it. So hey, that's not so bad, And especially, because of the requirements that the city of Boston has put into place about hiring from different areas. If you're a city resident, or if you're a minority, or if you're a woman, jobs have minimums, and those minimums are really, really important to getting people to work, because if they're not meeting those minimums, they're looking for somebody. They're looking for somebody from a certain zip code, as you said, or they're looking for a woman, or they're looking for a person of color. And especially if they can get an apprentice who's only $17 an hour to fill that slot, they're even happier. So, it's hard, and it gets harder as you get more expensive. But certainly, just starting out, the number one thing you have going for you is that you're cheap. So if you're excited and you're ready to learn, chances are you can find something, and if you can just get that one opportunity, that one step in the door, if you can just keep going back to the job down the street from your house, you know, once you get in the door, as long as you bust your butt every day, they'll keep you, you know? So I don't think it really is impossible. You know?
Great, thank you, Phoebe. Maybe you can follow up with Phoebe afterward. We're going to take time for 2 more questions because there have been 2 people up front patiently waiting. I know others want to comment. And then I'm just going to need like 2 minutes just to give everyone directions for what we do after the break. So
Actually, I was trying to do follow up for the question.
Okay.
What
Yes,
we're
sir.
doing in the Virgin Islands, that one of our state initiatives, in fact, we only have 3, but the first one is that every child must be career and college ready. And college is an occupational exit point, not a destination for a child's career. What we have done is establish career academies. One of our members, Mr. McIntosh, is a lead trainer for the Career Academy, for the C-Tech Academy. We have partnered with Hovenza, which is one of the largest oil refinery in the Western Hemisphere, along with the Vocational Board and K-12. And our students, the first cohort is now getting Associate of Arts degrees in Texas to return for employment in the refinery. So what we're doing now is creating career academies, and we're preparing our students from that level. We took in the state plan the premise that every child is a CTE child because every child is being prepared for career. So if your state takes that premise, we get away from many of those barriers. And we're working on articulation agreement with the University of the Virgin Islands in many of the segments, which is tourism is one of our main, so hospitality. So we're working on all those articulation agreements, but that's the premise in which we're working from in the Virgin Islands.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, I think we have one last comment from over here.
Good afternoon. I wanted to address the question in the back in terms of the outreach to high schools. Stephanie Harris-Kuiper from New Jersey, and I'm the proud project coordinator of a Youth Transition to Work Certified Nurse Assistant Program. Long title and a lot of work. But I'm really proud to say we have a very effective and positive outcomes, actually, in terms of recruiting our high schools into our Youth Transition to Work program. And what I would say to everyone, what has been successful for us is primarily the type of outreach efforts that you make, very diligent outreach efforts and consistent outreach efforts to your local high school and community-based organizations, as well as your faith-based organizations. So that was one of the first things we did. And in terms of marketing, we did have a jazzy, snazzy brochure with our youth on it, had our youth certified nurse assistants, pre-apprenticeships on the actual brochure, and we eventually had our recruited students go back into the high schools and recruit their students. But another important piece was the educational component to the Youth Transition to Work CNA program, that you really do have to get into the high schools and educate the guidance counselor. I'm a former guidance counselor. And you have to educate the principals and the teachers, and you have to get a buy-in from them. But before you even do that, you have to give them positive outcomes going into the situation and have a dialogue as educator to educator and talk about not every student is ready for college, not every student wants to go to college. Some students are ready to work. And the last spin I want to say in terms of our positive outcomes is that I found that so many young people and their parents understand that this economy is such that we have to work, and not everyone's going to get a grant or a loan. So I've been successful also in having students come to me from the high school saying, I want to work. I want your program because I need to work and I need to get to college. So I'm here, I'm from New Jersey, proud New Jersey, and I'm more than happy to talk to anyone that wants to start new initiatives with high school to work, youth transition to work. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have a 20-second comment, and we get a 20-second one there. Okay, these are the final 2. We're going to do this one and then one last one.
Phoebe, you said you wanted to inspire. You did that. No question about it. I've been working with NEW for 11 years now. It's a fantastic program. You're a great product or person that came out of that program. The question I want to ask about, when people graduate apprentice programs, the comment was, you know, when you're out of work, a new person getting into the industry is out of work. But Phoebe, when you graduate that program, what's going to be your student loan after?
It's free.
Thank you.
He had a point to make.
He already knows.
Okay, we have one